The courtroom walls shook today with a revelation so explosive. It didn't just crack open a marriage, it shattered the very foundation of love and hip-hop Atlanta as we know it. Cameras were rolling, fans were tweeting, and jaws hit the floor. As Bambi, yes, Scrappy's wife, broke down under pressure and confessed to an affair with none other than Stevie J, and she did it in open court. This wasn't reality TV scripted chaos, this was raw. Unfiltered devastation unfolding in real time, with Scrappy sitting just feet away. His world burning down in front of him. The whispers began the second Bambi's voice cracked. The gasps grew louder when Stevie J himself folded his arms, smirked, and let the bombshell sit in the air. But it was Scrappy's face, frozen, glassy-eyed. That told the real story. A man betrayed not just by his wife, not just by a castmate, but by an entire system of secrets and lies. Phones lit up, hashtags exploded, and inside that courtroom, even the judge couldn't contain the chaos's mama. D shouted from the benches and producers scrambled to escape the fallout. And just when everyone thought it couldn't get any worse, a USB drive surfaced holding footage that made the confession look like child's play. So buckle in, because this isn't just drama, it's destruction. And trust me, by the end of this story, you'll understand why fans are calling it the greatest scandal in hip-hop history. The courtroom was already buzzing before the judge even stepped inside. But no, when absolutely no one was ready for what came next. Reporters had filled every inch of the press row. Fans had squeezed into the backbenches like it was the hottest ticket in town. And social media was already on fire with rumors that today's hearing would end a marriage, a career, or both. But when Bambi herself took the stand, clutching tissues, her voice trembling, and then whispered the name Stevie J, the air in that room split open, like glass shattering. Scrappy's head snapped up, his eyes locking on her as if trying to confirm he had heard it right. Stevie J, his castmate, his frenemy. The man who had haunted their relationship for years was now officially named in open court as the other man. Gasps ricocheted through the gallery. And even the court clerk froze, mid-typing. Bambi tried to explain, her voice breaking. It was a mistake. It was one night. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But before she could finish, Stevie J leaned back in his seat, smirked, and folded his arms like a man who had just detonated a bomb. The judge banged his gavel for order, but there was no containing this chaos. Mama D leaped to her feet, screaming at the top of her lungs, "So you wrecked my son's life for Stevie J." Security scrambled to calm her, but she wouldn't sit down. And Scrappy, he sat frozen, his jaw clenched, his fists tightening on the bench, looking like a man on the edge of either breaking down or breaking out. And then it got worse. A bailiff handed the judge a small black USB drive, said to have been submitted by Stevie's attorney moments before court began. "Your Honor," Stevie announced coolly, "if anyone doubts what Bambi just admitted, the proof is right here." The lights dimmed, the projector flickered on. And the courtroom was plunged into a hush so thick you could hear hearts pounding. On the screen, grainy hotel room footage. Bambi pacing, her voice sharp, her words undeniable. "If Scrappy thinks I'm really pregnant, that's on him. I told y'all I need that check." The gasps this time weren't just loud, they were primal. Like the whole gallery had been punched in the gut. Scrappy's eyes went wide. His face drained of color. He mouthed something no one could hear. Bambi shot up, screaming, "That's fake. That's edited. He's lying," but the judge didn't pause the video. He leaned forward. "Continue," he said, clipped to rolled Bambi, on the phone laughing about how easy it had been to fool Scrappy, even mentioning Mona Scott Young by name, claiming the pregnancy angle was her guaranteed storyline. The room exploded into pandemonium. Producers from Love and Hip Hop bolted for the exit, phones blowing up, whispering into calls as if scrambling to save the franchise. Mama D pointed at Bambi, her voice cracking with fury. "You made my son cry over a baby that never existed." Security rushed forward again, and the judge banged his gavel until it nearly broke. But it was too late. The scandal had already spiraled beyond the courtroom walls. On Twitter, hashtags like hashtag Bambi lies and hashtag Scrappy down shot to the top within minutes. Fans flooded timelines with memes, some mocking Scrappy, others calling for Bambi to be jailed. Screenshots of the courtroom video leaked almost instantly, despite strict bans on recording. Celebrities weighed in 2K. Michelle tweeted, "I told y'all this game fake." Now it's all out there. Cardi B went live on Instagram, wide-eyed, saying, "Yo, if this is real, Scrappy need to run, not walk, run." And then came the cliffhanger that left everyone gasping. As the judge tried to restore order, Stevie J stood, adjusted his jacket, and coolly told the court, "There's 17 more clips. And trust me, they're worse." The courtroom erupted into screams. Reporters dashed for the doors to file. Breaking updates. Scrappy sat shaking his head slowly, like a man realizing his entire life had just been ripped apart in front of the world. The judge declared a recess, but it was too late. The scandal had already detonated. And there was no going back. The courtroom hadn't even cooled from the chaos of recess when the doors opened. And the paramedics wheeled in an oxygen tank. Scrappy still hadn't fully recovered from the shock of what he'd just seen. His mother, Mama D, walked behind him, fanning him with her hands like the cameras weren't even there, muttering under her breath, "The devil is alive, but not in my family." The gallery erupted in whispers. Some fans clutched their phones, streaming live updates to Instagram. Others leaned forward, desperate to hear every word. But the real storm hadn't even started, because as the judge returned to the bench, Stevie J's lawyer stood, holding up a small black folder. "Your Honor, the defense is prepared to submit further evidence." The judge pinched the bridge of his nose. "Mr. Jordan, how much more of this circus are we expected to endure?" Stevie J only smirked. "Until the truth is undeniable." He nodded to his lawyer, who pulled out another USB stick. The bailiff plugged it in. The screen flickered to life again. Clip 3. This time, it wasn't just Bambi pacing a hotel room. It was a FaceTime call, her face half lit, her tone cold. On the other end, a blurred silhouette, clearly Stevie J asking, "So you sure Scrappy won't find out?" And Bambi answering without hesitation, "He only knows what I tell him. And what I tell him is whatever makes me look good." Gasps tore through the gallery. Scrappy's body twitched in his chair. Mama D covered her mouth, and Bambi, she shouted, "That's fake. It's not my voice." But Stevie just leaned against the table, folding his arms, smirking like a man who'd already won. The judge slammed the gavel. "Ms. Richardson, sit down." But before Bambi could, another video loaded. Clip 4. A different angle, a hotel, room bed in the background. This time, Bambi laughed while talking on speakerphone. "Mona said we can stretch this pregnancy for at least 3 episodes. That's 3 checks. Scrappy ain't never gonna check the receipts. He just happy I stopped yelling." The audience gasped louder than ever before. The words pregnancy checks flashed across Twitter feeds within seconds. A producer in the back of the courtroom dropped his head into his hands, and then the tension snapped. Mama D leaped up, pointing at Bambi with trembling hands. "You played with my son's heart, with my grandchild's name." Security rushed to grab her as she screamed, "You dirty snake! You low-down heifer!" The judge shouted for order, but it was useless. The courtroom was a war zone. Even the stenographer stopped typing. Outside, paparazzi screamed through the windows, desperate to get a glimpse of Scrappy's reaction. But the worst was still loading. Clip 5. A dimly lit room, Bambi on the phone again, whispering, "If this don't work, I got one more move. Stevie said he'll back me up." And then the most damning part, she lifted a manila envelope, sliding out fake ultrasound papers. "This gonna make him stay," she said. That one line detonated the room. Scrappy finally snapped. He slammed his hand on the table, his voice breaking. "You've lied about my baby? You've lied to me." His voice cracked, echoing through the chamber. He turned to Bambi, his eyes glassy with rage and betrayal. "I gave you my trust, my heart, my last name, and you gave me this? A storyline?" He slammed his fist down again so hard the microphone squealed. Bambi broke, screaming back, "You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I had to do to survive in this game." Chaos exploded. Mama D fainted, collapsing into the arms of two reporters. Scrappy tried to stand, but paramedics held him down. The judge banged the gavel until the sound cracked, but nothing could stop it now. Even the love and hip-hop producers in the back began to whisper, panicked. Someone muttered, "This footage wasn't supposed to exist." Mona promised it was gone. Another voice hissed, "If this gets out, VH1's done." And just when it seemed the scandal had peaked, Stevie J's lawyer pulled out a final USB. "Your Honor, what we've shown so far is only the beginning." The judge's face went pale. "The beginning?" Stevie smirked. "We've got 17 more clips, and one of them, it's not just Bambi talking. It's Scrappy, too." Gasps louder than before. Scrappy's head snapped around. "What the hell you mean? Me too?" Stevie's smirk deepened. "You really think you ain't guilty of nothing? Wait. Until the world sees what you said behind." Her back, Scrappy's body froze. The courtroom went dead silent. Even the audience, who had been shouting seconds earlier, sat still as statues. The judge shook his head, muttering, "This has gone far beyond a simple hearing." But Stevie wasn't done, Your Honor. If allowed, I'll play clip 6. The crowd leaned forward like an audience at a movie theater. The judge hesitated. Then, reluctantly, play it. The screen flickered again. This time it wasn't just Bambi. It was Scrappy caught on a call, laughing with a friend. "Man, she don't even know I've been texting Erica. If she'd think I'm faithful, that's on her." The gallery erupted into screams. Erica Dixon's name flew across Twitter within seconds. Trending alongside hashtag Bambi Lies and hashtag ScrappyExposed.Bambi turned to Scrappy, pointing and shouting. "So it wasn't just me. You lied too." Scrappy's face turned ghost white. Mama D, revived and standing again, shrieked, "Not Erica. Lord, not again." The courtroom dissolved into pure chaos. Stevie J leaned back in his chair, smirking like the villain who had just burned the entire house down, and then the cliffhanger. The judge slammed his gavel so hard it echoed like a gunshot. This court is in recess until further notice. And let me make this clear. No one leaves until we determine the validity of these recordings. But as bailiffs moved to secure the exits, Stevie J whispered into his mic, just loud enough for reporters to catch. "You think this was bad? Wait until they see the reunion tapes." The courtroom gasped one final time as cameras flashed. Twitter exploded and Scrappy slumped in his chair, his life unraveling in real time. And just like that, the cliffhanger was set. The next chapter wasn't just about Bambi's lies, it was about Scrappy's secrets to Dot when court reconvened the next morning. The air was thick with dread. Reporters lined the hallways, microphones shoved in every direction, fans screaming at the courthouse gates. Inside, every seat was filled, the walls buzzing with whispers. Would Stevie J really unleash the reunion tapes that could bury everyone? From Bambi to Scrappy to Mona Scott Young herself? Scrappy entered first, his face drawn, his walk unsteady. He refused to look at Bambi, who sat stone-faced in designer black eyes hidden behind oversized shades. Stevie J strolled in last, grinning like a man who'd been waiting his whole life for this kind of spotlight. When the judge walked in, you could hear a pin drop. He looked exhausted, as though even he realized the circus had become bigger than the law. "Mr. Jordan," he said, "do you intend to present this so-called reunion tape?" Stevie leaned forward, elbows on the table, and said one word. "Absolutely." The bailiff inserted the final USB. The screen lit up with raw, uncut footage. It was a behind-the-scenes camera angle from the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta reunion ever aired. Never meant to be seen. Bambi sat in full glam, whispering to Erica Mena backstage. "If Scrappy don't get it together, I'll use the baby card." Mona loves drama. She'll back me. Erica's face tightened. "Girl, that's dangerous." Bambi laughed. "Danger. Gets me contracts." The audience gasped. Scrappy's jaw clenched so hard it looked like it might shatter. But then the footage shifted. This time it was Scrappy in a dressing room, phone in hand, texting. The camera zoomed in, catching his screen. The messages were to Erica Dixon. "I miss you. Wish I was with you instead." Gasps filled the room again, this time louder than before. Scrappy buried his face in his hands. Bambi ripped off her sunglasses, pointing at him. "See? You want to crucify me, but you was creeping too." Scrappy shot back, his voice booming. "I didn't fake a pregnancy. I didn't play with no child's name." The room erupted, security rushing in as both of them screamed across the aisle. The judge slammed his gavel until the sound echoed like thunder. "Enough. Both of you are guilty of deception. This is no longer about custody. This is about fraud and credibility." But the tape wasn't finished. Suddenly, the footage cut to Mona Scott Young herself, caught on a hot mic during the reunion taping. She turned to a producer and whispered, "If Bambi goes through with the fake pregnancy angle, let her. We'll deal with it later. Ratings come first." The courtroom froze. The Queenpin herself was implicated. Fans online went nuclear. #cancel VH1, #Mona exposed, and #Love and Hip Hop fraud all trended within minutes. Bambi gasped. Realizing her supposed safety net had just abandoned her, "She told me it was okay," she cried out. But Stevie smirked, his voice smooth as silk, and now the world knows the truth. Mama D collapsed again, sobbing loudly. "My poor baby boy. He didn't deserve none of this." Paramedics rushed over, but Scrappy pushed them away. He stood tall, his voice breaking but defiant. "All of y'all played me. My wife, my ex, even the producers. I lost years of my life to lies. But today, it ends." He turned to the judge. "I want full custody of my daughter, and I want every single lie exposed." The judge leaned back, sighing heavily. This court will consider criminal charges not just against Ms. Richardson, but potentially against VH1 staff and producers if evidence shows deliberate fraud. Effective immediately, all Love and Hip Hop Atlanta filming is suspended pending investigation. The room erupted again, but Stevie wasn't finished. He leaned into the mic, voice dripping with venom. This was never just about Scrappy. This was about exposing a system that profits off lies. Y'all thought you could bury me? I just buried all of you. As reporters scrambled, pushing their way out to break the story, Scrappy sat frozen. He looked at Bambi one last time, his face etched with hurt. "You played me, but you played yourself worse." Bambi broke down, mascara running, wailing. "I just wanted to win." Stevie stood up, dusting off his jacket, and delivered the final dagger. "And now you've lost it all." The gavel slammed. Court adjourned. Outside, chaos exploded. Protesters screamed for Bambi's arrest. Fans sobbed in Scrappy's defense. VH1 staff fled cameras as TMZ confirmed Mona Scott Young had gone into hiding. And online, one phrase surged above everything else: "Love and hip hop will never be the same." But the true cliffhanger came as Stevie exited the courthouse, a sly grin plastered on his face. A reporter shouted, "Stevie, is this the end of the leaks?" He paused, adjusted his shades, and smirked. "Not even close. Still got tapes nobody's ready for. And the next name on them? Bigger than Bambi. Bigger than Scrappy. Y'all ain't ready." The crowd gasped. Reporters screamed questions. and fans online begged to know who's next. Stevie just walked away, leaving chaos in his wake. The world had witnessed Bambi's destruction, Scrappy's heartbreak, and Mona's empire crumble. But the promise of more tapes meant one thing: this saga was far from over. And there you have it, the scandal. It's the betrayals, the courtroom implosions that just shattered the entire love and hip-hop universe. But before you think it's over, let me make one thing clear. This saga is just beginning. The tapes are still out there. Stevie J himself said he's holding names bigger than Bambi, bigger than Scrappy. And if he's not bluffing, the next leak could take down an empire. Ask yourself this: what would it feel like to miss that drop? To wake up tomorrow and see millions already buzzing about the footage you didn't watch first? Don't let that happen right here, right now. You need to lock yourself in. Smash that like button if you think Bambi's lies finally caught up to her. Hit subscribe if you believe Scrappy deserves justice. And turn on those notifications, because when the next bombshell hits sand, trust me, you'll either be the first to know or the last left in the dark. This isn't just gossip anymore. This is reality TV colliding with real-life courtrooms, careers hanging by a thread, and reputations dying live on camera. If you thought today's collapse was wild, imagine the moment Stevie J drops his next bomb. Do you want to be here when that explodes? Or do you want to hear it secondhand from a meme? The choice is yours. Subscribe now, because around here, silence isn't an option. Scandal is survival. And the next chapter is already loading.